What up? I need you guys to talk back. What up? Cool. All right, we'll get better. Before I start, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land and the fact that sovereignty was never ceded and it never will be. And any poetry that I'm about to share with you guys today is just a small drop in an ocean of writing and storytelling that's been happening on this land for a very, very long time. Now, I don't like doing poetry by myself, so I'm going to ask you guys to help me out. When I point at you, all of you, I want you to yell out, love! Is that cool? Is that cool? Cool. Poetry is about two things. Honesty and awesome. And the first being honest enough with yourself to know what you want and who you want to be. Second, having the love to believe in who you want to be and who this person is going to become and what they're going to do. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to be honest with you guys in the hope that you can be honest with yourselves and what you want to do and what you care about and what you believe in. So what we do in the poetry world, when we hear something that we like, we snap our fingers. Can I get everyone to do that? Nice. Cool. So if at any point when I'm talking, you hear something that touches your heart, I'm going to need you to snap your fingers. And I promise, I will not throw the microphone at you. I'm also very bad at sports, so I'd probably miss. So you're good. My cousin and I were two 6-year-olds growing up in Kampala. We saw orphan children begging in the street under blazing Ugandan heat just to make ends meet. But we were too young to understand. All we did was make cakes out of sand. 10 bottle caps into soccer balls. We would play pretend until the day would end. My cousin and I never chose to be born in the chains of poverty. But we saw one day that we would break free, so we carried our hopes on our backs like backpacks. Our minds would tiptoe on clouds, our little fingers would reach for the sky, but my cousin's palms never got to touch her dreams. We had lived through 6 Ramadans when my family and I moved to Australia. In Brisbane, blackboards taught a little black girl that her tongue can be a sword. Pencils turned into keys which unlocked the wings attached to my mind. Meanwhile, my cousin was back home being left behind. Instead of homework, she did housework. And she would raise her hands, but there were no teachers there to listen. You see, schools were expensive, and her family couldn't afford to pay the fees. Wishing I could save her from the ravenous flames of poverty like I was Hercules. Wishing I could go back to the motherland and hold her hand and take her place, because every time I close my eyes, I see her face. I had lived through 12 Ramadans. And growing up in Australia, never did the winds of hunger claw at my skin, but back home, there are cataclysmic tornadoes threatening to blow away my kin. For my cousin, hunger was a revisiting guest knocking at the doorways of her stomach, and she had no choice but to let the pain in. I've lived through 20 Ramadans. I am now at university. I have lived through 20 Ramadans. My cousin and I grew up together, but our lives will never be the same. My cousin is the same age as me, still learning how to spell her own name. So I'll close my eyes and I'll pray. for the day that my cousin and I can hold hands and our minds can tiptoe on clouds and reach for our dreams together. The next piece I'd like to share with you is one that's very, very, very close to my heart. And I don't know what other way that I could tell you guys that you are the future of this country and that lives depend on the choices that you make. Election has just passed, and we've just had a party elected that has made a promise to deny refugees in detention any form of health care. So I'd like you to stand up if you came to this country by boat. And if you're not Indigenous, and everyone should be standing up. So I'd like you to stand up. Everyone in the room, please stand up. I'd like you to look around. Each and every single one of us is deserving of dignity, of life, of education, of a home, of food. And the same number of people in this room, imagine double that, is the same number of people who are in Manus, who are in Nauru, who are being denied of these very, very things. And is a room full of loving, young people who have the opportunity to craft the future that you want to live in. I'd like all of you to think, what kind of world do you want to create? What kind of values do you want to see in the world that your children would be born into? Is it love? Is it empathy? Is it kindness? Regardless whether you came by plane, by boat, every single one of us is deserving of dignity and human rights. You can all take a seat, and I'm going to do a poem that I wrote about the refugee crisis. And if anything that I say touches your heart, this poem no longer belongs to me. It belongs to you as well. So I'd like you to snap your fingers if I touch your heart and if I make you feel something. From an apologetic black girl to a war-torn Syrian. 1. I am sorry that the same hands we use to turn off our TVs when we see your children dying and wearing blood for skin are the same hands we will use to put our own children to sleep. 2, I apologize for the boys and girls whose childhoods have found homes and tombstones, the ones who have death as their imaginary friend, still wondering when this meaningless war would end. I tried pretending that the war in Syria wasn't real. But when I wrote this poem, my page turned into a cemetery 3. I am sorry that Australians are human, but we have lost sight of humanity. Because calamity isn't in the US and UK airstrikes. It's in the apathetic eyes that pretend that the blast never happened. I apologize that bombs have no eyes. And they can't tell the difference between the 10-year-old girl walking home from school and ISIS. I am sorry that my poem is nothing but 2 fingers raised in the air in the middle of a war zone drowned in gunfire, but I will raise them anyway. This poem is nothing but a weak lifeboat, attempting to stop me from drowning from my own guilt and my own shame, because I know that my country is partly to blame, because I know that my brother and your brother may have different skin, but they are still the same, because I know that our refugee policies are to blame. So from every Australian who wishes that we could wipe your blood off of our government's hands, from the bottom of our hearts to your families and your children, we are so, so sorry. Poetry is about two things. It's about honesty and again, I'd like you guys to be honest with yourselves about the people that you want to be and about the change that you want to see, and love yourselves enough to believe that you can make that change. Now, the final poem I want to share with you guys is called Adelaide Street. Now, I need every single person snapping their fingers if you feel me, if you can relate. Cool? Cool? You guys still alive? All right, thank God. That's good. I'm standing on Adelaide Street, getting ready to go head to head with my inner self. I tell my soul, look, I've never been in a fight before. And my soul says, girl, you're gonna learn today. Ding, round one. My soul punches me in the face and says, this is for the day you raised your hands in the air like a sacrifice. You dipped your fingers in bleaching cream and tried to set fire to the midnight on your skin, forgetting that you can't run from the Nile River flowing through your veins. My soul pulled out a cane and boom, hit me across my face. The pain took me back to my place. Uganda, Kampala, Mwanda Road, 2004, black girl on the bedroom floor. I was 4. And I looked in the mirror, and I saw this beautiful black rose that only grows in the motherland, before Europe made her understand that flowers as dark as me find it hard to love our petals, but even harder to love our roots. Ding, round 2. My soul hits me with an uppercut, and my lips bleed all the words I never had the courage to say, like, Daddy, please stay, because now I hate your hands for not being there to hold me. And I hate your voice for not being there to console me. But most of all, I hate the fact that I could never hate you at all. And when tears start to fall down my cheeks, my soul says, I've been trying to fight you for weeks. I'm not trying to hit you hard enough so a dead body remains. I'm trying to take you on a trip back to memory lane. Then my soul hits me with a combo. Left, right, and I start seeing stars over my head. The same stars I looked up to in 2016 when I got my heart broken for the first time. When I was a slave to my own insecurities. And I set my pride on fire just to make the wrong man stay. My soul said, look this way. I'm not done with you. Today I will kill you, then bring you back to life. This time with bigger goals and a smaller ego. Anisa, don't you understand? You are lucky to be alive. So today I will make you cry. I will make you bleed. I will knock you to the ground, and when you stand up, you need to stand up for the truth. Anisa, you need to stand up for something more than you. Anisa, you need to stand up. Cool. Thank you so much for listening.